हरे कृष्णा। जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी। जय गिरिवरधारी। Prabhupada Dalan adjust properly. You see, it's kind of lopsided. You see? Huh? Adjust Prabhupada Dalan properly. जय गोपी जन वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी। जय गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीर वनचारी। यमुना तीर वनचारी। जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। तन्ना प्रभु नित्यानंद। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद नंदा अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा नील माधव राधे जय राधा गिरिधारी राधे जय गिरि गोवर्धन जय गिरि गोवर्धन जय निताय चैतन्य चंद्र निताय गौरचंद्र गौर हरि प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jai Gaura Premanandi. Jai Om Nityalila Pravishtom Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Stotra Shata. His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Nithai Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the lotus feet of Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Tato Jayarmudiraye Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. So His Holiness Lokanath Maharaj was supposed to give the class, so Maharaj couldn't make it. So y'all are stuck with me. So I apologize for that. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 57, Text 30. This chapter is entitled, Satyajit murdered, the jewel returned. So interesting that Krishna attends the funeral. You don't see the Lord has anything to do with the funeral, but here He attends the funeral of His father-in-law, Satyabhama's father. So it becomes like, that's why people get confused about Krishna's position. They think Krishna is ordinary. He's just a very extraordinary man, you know, okay, he's very powerful, but he's just a man. You see, look, he's attending funeral and stuff like that. So therefore, many people could not understand Krishna when He was here physically present, right? Of course, if Krishna didn't attend the funeral of Satyajit, he'll be in big trouble with Satyabhama. So therefore, Krishna is like forced to attend. You know what Satyabhama is like. So here, Satyadanva murders Satyajit while he was asleep. So think about it, right? You know, these are all Kshatriyas. But he murders a powerful Kshatriya, the father of Satyabhama, while he's asleep. Just like Aswatthama, what did he do? He murdered the 5 sons of the Pandavas while they were asleep. So this is the worst thing a Kshatriya can do. It's the most cowardly act somebody can do. Kshatriyas always fight face to face, and even when they are supposedly losing, they'll fight until they, you know, that's in their blood. I'll rather be known as a brave Kshatriya who died in battle valiantly rather than run away from the battle. But of course, Krishna ran away from the battle. You all know that, Ranachor. but that's a different story. Okay, Krishna's glorified. So of course, Akrura, who's glorified in the Bhagavatam, is very fortunate. Now he was complicit in this, right? Akrura and Kritavarma, it is said because of the curse Akrura got and Kritavarma's bad association, they had resorted to this. But at the same time, it is said that Akrura wanted the jewel for Krishna. So these things are quite difficult to understand. Krishna puts his devotees in different situations. So we shouldn't see that Akrura is actually of questionable behavior, because his prayers to Krishna and Balaram when he was taking them away from Vrindavan is highly revered by the devotees. So let's read this verse. Akrure posite rishtani आसन वै द्वारकौ कशाम शारीरा मानसास्तापा मुहुर्दैविक भौतिकाः आक्रूरे प्रोषिते रिष्टानि आसन वै द्वारकावकशम रकाकौसाम शारीरा मानसास्तापा मुहुर्दैविक भौतिकाः अक्रूरे प्रोषिते रिष्टानि आसन वै द्वारकौकशाम शारीरा मानसास्तापा मुहुर्दैविक भौतिकाः आक्रूरे प्रोषिते रिष्टानि आसन वै द्वारकौकशाम शारीरा मानसास्तापा मुहुर्दैविक भौतिकाः अक्रूरे प्रोषिते रिष्टानि सन वै द्वारकौकशाम शारीरा मानसास्तापा मुहुर्दैविक भौतिकाः अक्रूरे प्रोषिते रिष्टानि आसन वै द्वारकौकशाम शारीरा मानसास्तापा मुहुर्दैविक भौतिकाः. Ladies. अक्रूरे प्रोषिते रिष्टानि आसन वै द्वारकौकशाम शारीरा मानसास्तापा मुहुर्दैविक भौतिकाः अक्रूरे भौतिके प्रोषिते रिष्टानि आसन वै द्वारकाकशाम शारीरा मानसास्तापा मुहुर्दैविक भौतिकाः. Word for word. Akrure, Akrura, Proshite, being in exile, Aristani, ill omens, Asan, arose, Vai, indeed, Dwaraka Okasam, for the residents of Dwaraka, Sariraha, caused by the body, Manasaha, and by the mind, Tapaha, distresses, Muhuhu, repeated, Daivika, caused by higher powers, Bhautikaha, caused by other creatures. Translation: in Akrura's absence, ill omens arose in Dwaraka, and the citizens began to suffer continually from physical and mental distresses, as well as from disturbances caused by higher powers and by creatures of the earth. Kindly repeat after me. In Akrura's absence, ill omens arose in Dwaraka, and the citizens began to suffer continually from physical and mental distresses, as well as disturbances caused by higher powers and by creatures of the earth. In Akrura's absence, ill omens arose in Dwaraka, and the citizens began to suffer continually from physical and mental distresses, as well as from disturbances caused by higher powers and by creatures of the earth. Purport by the disciples of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The word Daivika here refers to disturbances caused by supernatural beings. These disturbances often manifest as natural calamities like earthquakes, tidal waves, or extreme weather. Nowadays, materialistic people attribute these disturbances to earthly causes, not realizing that they constitute punishment at the hands of superior beings. The word Bhautikaha refers to trouble caused by fellow creatures of the earth, such as human beings, animals, and insects. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, Akrura took the Shyamantaka jewel and went to reside in the city of Banaras, where he became known as Dhanapati, the master of charity. Sacrifices on gold altars with elaborate assemblies of qualified priests. Some residents of Dwaraka felt that the unusual calamities were due to Akrura's absence, forgetting, as described in the next verse, that the Supreme Lord's personal presence in Dwaraka precluded that possibility. Because when the Lord comes to earth, his pastimes resemble those of human beings, the principle of familiarity breeds contempt comes into play. It appears that during the lives of many saintly persons and incarnations of God, there always exists a class of people who fail to appreciate or who only occasionally appreciate the position of the great souls among them. On the other hand, the fortunate and enlightened souls who recognize the true position of the Lord and his associates are supremely blessed. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Tamal Krishna Goswami Niti Namine. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In Akrura's absence, all ill omens arose in Dwaraka, and the citizens began to suffer continually from physical and mental distresses, as well as from disturbances caused from higher powers and by creatures of the earth. So, of course, Akrura, because he had the Shamantaka jewel, they thought, well, Akrura, such an exalted personality, because he has left, now Dwaraka is cast with bad fortune. But Dwaraka is actually the Dham, right? So how could the Dham be cast in ill fortune? So this question arises. Sometimes you go to Vrindavan, you see poor people there, but it's the Dham. Some people like, really in very bad health, and they are sleeping on the street and begging. So sometimes we tend to see the Dham in material vision. So if you see the Dham in material vision, you will see all these things. So therefore there is a curtain of Maya around the Dham. Those who are not qualified to enter into the Dham, they may geographically be in the Dham, but not spiritually in the Dham. So now some residents of Dwaraka, they developed this mentality, well, now we are thrown in, physical and mental distresses, so must be because of Akrura had left. But really, the pure devotees of the Lord never see any ill fortune coming to them when they are in the Dham, right? Like Prabhupada went through so much difficulty, he never at one time felt that this is due to ill fortune. In fact, it is said that when the devotee is working very hard for the Lord, is compared in the Bhagavatam to a man who's away from home, working very, very hard for the family. He may not be even eating, he may be working through the night, but deep inside in his heart, he feels, I'm doing this for my beloved family. So he feels great happiness when he does that. Actually, it is said in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So devotees, when they are away, like preaching for the Lord, like Prabhupada left, crossed the ocean, suffered 2 heart attacks, went through so much trials, so much tribulations, Prabhupada never at one time thought those were actually trials and tribulations. Prabhupada said those were my most ecstatic moments when he was going through. Now we may feel differently because we are not surrendered like Srila Prabhupada and the pure devotees and the Paramahansas and the Mahabhagavatas, right? So when we go through some difficulty, we start to think, oh, you know what, this is some misfortune. But we fail to see it's actually Krishna putting us in that circumstance for us to realize our own shortcomings. Often we fumble in difficult tests, and our real non-devotional qualities surface. We see that all the time. So therefore the pure devotees, when they are in difficulty, they thank the Lord for the difficulty. Like Kunti, right? Kunti Devi, what does she do? Yeah, she prays to Krishna, please put me in difficulties so I can constantly remember you, right? How many of y'all who's going to pray like that? Any one of us are willing to pray, Krishna, please put me in the most difficult circumstances in life so I can always remember you. We don't pray like that, do we? So this residents of Dwarka who started to think like that, of course the residents of Dwarka are very special even though when they're thinking like that. Alright? So Krishna has got amazing ability to cast his own devotees into illusion, like Arjuna was cast into illusion. So Krishna can speak the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna put Parikshit Maharaj in such a situation so he could hear the Srimad Bhagavatam. But Parikshit Maharaj not at any moment he felt, oh, I've got only 7 days to live. What great misfortune. He said, this is the best fortune. Now I can give up all my other activities and listen to the glories of the Lord. Continually in the Srimad Bhagavatam it says, Parikshit Maharaj, when he saw the sages, he said, just please continue to glorify the uncommon deeds of the Lord. This is the real business of my life, to hear the uncommon activities of the Lord. So, of course, Krishna and Balaram knew who killed Satrajit, and actually where the Shamantaka jewel is there. Krishna and Balaram knew everything, right? So if you go back to the summary of the chapter, let me read. So when Satadhanva, he murdered Satrajit and he went to Akrura and Kritavarma to beg for help because he knows he's in great trouble, right? But they refused and they left the jewel. Satadhanva, he left the jewel with Akrura and fled for his life. Krishna and Balaram pursued him. The Lord Krishna then beheaded him with his Sudarshan Chakra. So when the Lord could not find the Shamantaka jewel on Satadhanva's person, Baladev told him that Satadhanva must have left it in someone's care. Baladev further suggested Krishna return to Dwarka and find the jewel, while Baladev would take the opportunity to visit the king of Videha, Mithila. Thus Lord Balaram traveled to Mithila and remained there for a few years, during which he taught King Duryodhana an art of fighting with the club. So this is the background. So the elders in Dwarka, they said because there was once a drought in Benares and it was mitigated after the king of Benares at that time gave his daughter in marriage to Akrura's father. So they thought, well, Akrura must be, and then the drought stopped and it started raining. So they thought Akrura must be similarly blessed like that. So because Akrura had left, so now there must be, the problems here must be because of his absence. But Krishna of course knew this was Krishna's doing, right? The Dwarka was going through that not because of Akrura's absence. It's because it was Krishna's will does that. So now what are the threefold miseries of material existence? All of us know that, right? When Sanatana Goswami approached Lord Chaitanya, what did he say? When his first words to Mahaprabhu. Who remembers that? He said, who am I? Keami. Kenoyama Jartapatre. He said, why am I suffering the threefold material existence? This was his Keami. Who am I? Why am I suffering the three folds of material existence? And he very humbly submitted himself of Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu, when he saw his humility, Mahaprabhu's heart melted. Right? They had straw between their teeth. Right? Just like an animal. Right? So if you really want to appear humble in front of somebody, have some straw between your teeth. Of course, if you take straw between your teeth and approach your boss, he may not understand that. So you can take straw between your teeth and approach the Vaishnavas and the spiritual master. All right. So, and Sanatana Goswami said, "Who am I? I don't even know who am I. Why am I suffering the three folds of material existence? And people address me as Pandit." Because Sanatana Goswami was very learned personality, right? He was, after he left the service of the Muslim king, he was studying the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? He was studying the Srimad Bhagavatam in his house. He called all the Pandits, and he was studying the Srimad Bhagavatam. He planted all the trees of Vrindavan in his house, that like the tamal trees full of tulsi everywhere, the kadamba trees, to create an atmosphere like Vrindavan in his house. And he was engaging the learned Pandits to recite the Srimad Bhagavatam. And the king thought something is wrong here. Sanatana Goswami is so responsible. Why is he not coming to perform his service? So he visits him. Then he sees the Sanatana Goswami is actually avoiding the duties to the king, so he imprisons him and Rupa Goswami like that. And then Rupa Goswami managed to escape, and then followed by Sanatana Goswami like that. So, and then Sanatana Goswami says, people address me as a Pandit, and I actually accept their addressing of me as a Pandit. Right? So, how is this? So please accept me as your humble servant and engage me in the service of your lotus feet. So this is the Sanatana Goswami's, this is genuine humility, right? Sometimes we try to appear humble, but we imitate humility. Only a pure devotee is truly humble. Okay? Humility is a state of the heart. It's not a state of the mind. It's actually a state of the heart. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that it's called dainya. That means you come to a point where you feel, my Lord, what is my qualification? What good qualities I have? Look at my pathetic situation. It's so abominable. Just like Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, what he says? He feels himself like a worm in the stool. I mean, like, who amongst you feel that way? And that's anybody who utters my name. What he says? Anybody who utters my name will go to hell. How is it possible? Krishnadas Kaviraj's name is Krishnadas Kaviraj, right? So, it's very hard to understand, right? Jai Shri Shri Radha Nil Madhava, Radha Giridhari Ki Giriraj Govardhan, Shri Shri Nitai Chaitanya Nitai Govardhan. So, it's better, instead of pretending to be humble, as accepting yourself as arrogant. That's a far better position. If you're nearly not humble, you accept, actually, I'm not humble, I'm actually arrogant, I've got so much pride in my heart. That is a much safer position to be, to accept your shortcomings rather than to pretend to be something you are not. So honesty is the best policy, right? A devotee has to be, first of all, truthful, has to be honest with his shortcomings, as honest to be with all his bad qualities. So Krishna appreciates that. Krishna appreciates a devotee is without duplicity approach him. The spiritual master appreciates the disciple who approaches him without any duplicity. Of course, the spiritual master can see through the duplicity of his disciple, so it's not even any use approaching a spiritual master with duplicity in your heart. In fact, you may think, well, Krishna is here, even if I'm duplicitous, he's not going to point me, he's not going to single me out and chastise me. It's okay, I'll go and offer some nice prayers to Krishna. I'm not going to be caught in the act. But the spiritual master, he's the representative of Krishna. The Vaishnavas, they are the representatives of Krishna. They can see through your duplicity because they are very intimately connected with Krishna. Whatever Krishna sees in you, the spiritual master also sees in you. So here, so Sanatana Goswami, he approaches Lord Chaitanya. That's a very good example for us. That's the perfect example. In fact, not only the first time you approach your spiritual master, you feel like that. Every time you approach your spiritual master, you should feel like that. Like familiarity breeds contempt. It's so true. Sometimes, we get so familiar with our spiritual master. I saw once a disciple deal with a spiritual master. It was very, very shocking for me. This spiritual master hardly visits Dallas, but once he visited, he had few disciples there. And the spiritual master comes. He very reluctantly paid obeisances. And the spiritual master was supposed to take his meal. He's just like, you can sit there, Guru Maharaj, and he's doing his own stuff. And this is familiarity. No respect for the spiritual master, no veneration for the spiritual master. So it's always best when you come in the presence of the spiritual master, even if you're serving him for 25, 30, 35 years, you pay your full obeisances to the spiritual master. Because even though it's a physical act, it's tremendously beneficial. Even though if your heart doesn't feel like paying obeisances, you still pay your full obeisances. Eventually, your mind becomes accustomed to the fact, oh, here's my spiritual master, let me pay obeisances to my spiritual master. Even though I don't understand his true position, let me pay my full obeisances to my spiritual master. So, very nice devotee, Prabhupada disciple, you all know Mahabuddhi Prabhu. He was living in Houston for some time. He often recites this. He said, once there was some respectable gentleman in Prabhupada's presence, and Prabhupada was very fond of Mahabuddhi Prabhu. He has done a lot of preaching, the library party, he has put so many books everywhere in very important universities. So when he entered Prabhupada, there was not much space to pay obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. Then he just symbolically touched his hand, like Indians do sometimes, right? When they see you, they touch their hand to the heart, like a sign of respect. And he touched his hand to his heart and didn't pay obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada got very, very displeased with that. And Prabhupada showed his his displeasure by an expression in the face. Then Prabhupada, I think, said something, I can't remember. So Mahabuddhi Prabhu became so sad and so upset with himself that he did not pay obeisance. So he started walking to the river to commit suicide, to jump into the river. He said, if I've displeased Srila Prabhupada, why should I be alive? So he started walking to the river. And I think Prabhupada knew that. So I think he sent Satsarup Maharaj to run after him. to call him back. So then Satsuru Maharaj was able to prevent his suicide. So he came back, and then he paid his full obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. And then shortly after, Prabhupada started glorifying Mahabuddhi Prabhu. So sometimes this familiarity is there. Or circumstances, sometimes think I'm so busy, I don't even have time to pay my obeisances to my, maybe it's not very important. Let me get to his lunch first, But, eventually we become familiar like that. So familiarity breeds contempt, just like the residents of Dwarka became familiar with Krishna. And they become contemptuous of Krishna. So it happens. We see devotees every day, we become familiar with them. We become contemptuous. Sometimes I see devotees coming to the temple, they just very quickly pay their obeisances, hit their head to the floor, and they, don't even look at Prabhupada. Imagine if Prabhupada was physically sitting there. You just imagine, you don't even need to know that he is sitting there. You just imagine that Prabhupada is sitting there. Actually, if his physical body was there, in flesh and blood, would you do that? That means we don't have conviction that Prabhupada is actually in the murti. Or when the deities are there, we're doing all kind of mundane business in front of the deities. Like I see our Sunday feast crowd, the kids come in shorts. I've seen like young teenage girl coming in shorts in front of the deities. Is that acceptable? It's not acceptable. It's very, very offensive to the Lord. In fact, in the Nectar of Devotion, it is said that when you approach the Lord, your knee should not be visible. You should clothe yourself, at least your knee is covered. So I see in some congregation, they don't pay obeisances to Prabhupada. They think Krishna is their relative, my very intimate relative. Why should I pay obeisances? So familiarity really breeds contempt, right? So it's everywhere now. People are familiar, they think they're familiar with everything. But therefore this etiquette is there, therefore sadhana bhakti is there. Vaidhi bhakti is there, so we observe rules and regulations in our contaminated state so that we don't become familiar with Krishna and become sahajas. The sahajas is the perfect example of familiarity breeds contempt. They think they're so intimate with Krishna, they're gopis, they don't need to, follow the regulative principles. They are liberated, they are nitya siddhas, they got siddha pranali. No, these are actually the domain of the intimate associates of Krishna. Therefore, when Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur went to Vrindavan, when he went to Radhakund, he said, where are the devotees in Radhakund? He said that actually. Where are the Brajavasis in Radhakund? Because he saw that practically everybody there was pretending to be a liberated and Paramahamsa. So we have to be very conscious of the fact familiarity often leads to contempt. So therefore, even when you come to your house every day, in your altar you pay your obeisances to the Lord. Even though you are the Lord is living in your house on your altar, when you leave your house for the day and you come back home, you pay your obeisances to the Lord. First thing, you come inside, you go to your puja room and you offer obeisances to the Lord. You offer obeisances to the spiritual master. First thing in the morning, you pay obeisances. When you first get up in the morning, get out of your bed, the first thing you do, you pay obeisances to the spiritual master, you pay obeisances to the Guru Parampara, you pay obeisances to The Pancha Tattva, you pay obeisances to the divine couple. It takes you less than 1 minute to do it. The first thing you do. So that way your mind is settled that I am the servant of my spiritual master. I am the servant of the Vaishnavas. I am the servant of 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 the Pancha Tattva. I'm the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of the divine couple. That way your mind becomes conditioned in a very favorable way. Very important. Huh? So therefore sadhana bhakti is there, not to become familiar, to follow the rules and regulations. And when you come to a point where your heart is spontaneously attracted to devotional service, these things can be given up, but still it is good to observe these things, to at least to set an example. So therefore our acharyas, even though they are in the highest platform, they seem to follow sadhana bhakti. So why? To set an example. They know business following sadhana bhakti. They are not even raganuga bhaktas, they are ragatmika bhaktas. Right? All our Guru Parampara, they are ragatmika bhaktas. But you see Prabhupada's example, because Prabhupada set an example, we have an example to follow. Because our spiritual master is setting an example, we have an example to follow. Imagine if Prabhupada say, you know, I'm already in the Paramahansa stage, why should I follow these rules and regulations? If Prabhupada had taken that disposition, what will be our situation now? We will be simply sahajyas. Right? Once I met some people who were setting up some booth. They belong to a group in Austin, right? So I kind of befriended them, and I was talking. They were all ladies. Then I say, so what do you all do? I'm just curious. Well, how's your sadhana? Oh, we don't follow sadhana bhakti. We are actually raganuga bhaktas. Our bhakti is spontaneous. Say, wow, really? I say, wow, that's a very, very amazing thing. So I say, what do you all do on a daily basis? Oh, we chant Krishna's name in our mind. You know, wow, you don't chant loudly? No, there's no need for us to chant Krishna's name loudly. We just chant Krishna's name in our mind. So immediately you know that these are sahajyas. Right? Right? So Mahaprabhu, what he was doing, he was constantly chanting Krishna's name. Right? He was vibrating Krishna's name. Haridas Thakur, he was vibrating Krishna's name so loudly. So we cannot, familiarity breeds contempt. When you go to the dump, this familiarity also. When you live in the dump, therefore it is forbidden to live in the dump for a very long period of time. My spiritual master was very emphatic about that. You go there, you pay obeisance to the dust of the dham, you venerate the Brajavasis. Everywhere you go, you pay obeisances, smear your dust. Because after a prolonged period in the dham, the nature of the mind is to become familiar. You start seeing the people in Vrindavan as ordinary people. You know, you may see somebody smoking bidi. You may see, some beggars. You start thinking these are all just ordinary people. They may look ordinary, but you never know the fact that they're living in the dham. The monkeys are not ordinary. The monkeys are said to be devotees who have committed some grave offense, so they've taken birth as monkeys in the dham. That could be their last birth. So even Radha Nila Madhava Dham is we get familiar. This is the Dham. We start seeing fault, so we have to be very careful. in this respect. So, but the real devotees, they're never bewildered by the curtain of Maya. Right? It was just like we can see Lokanath Maharaj, when he was talking about, when he was here, he was talking about Vrindavan, about Kartik, about the parikrama he did. It was so wonderful. You feel like you were in the presence of Vrindavan. And you could see Maharaj was missing Vrindavan when he was talking about his parikrama. You could feel that he's really feeling a lot of separation from Vrindavan. He had to leave Vrindavan to come to Houston, which is Devi Dham. Right? But of course he came to Radha Neela Madhava Dham, which is the spiritual Dham within Devi Dham, which is quite inconceivable. So Atmavan Manyate Jagat, right? So whatever mentality you have acquired, you will see the world in such a way. So now in the Dham, if we become familiar, eventually we'll also see this place as mundane. We start seeing the faults of devotees. We see only faults. We see like a fly only going to things which are very, very obnoxious. You can see pigs in Vrindavan eating most horrible things, right? So if your vision is attracted to such things, you will fail to see Vrindavan. So we have to be very careful that we never see the Dham in a very mundane way. We should always check our mind. We should actually cane our mind every day. We should take, at least figuratively, we should take the slippers, or not your own slippers, of the Vaishnavas and just hit your head every day. Oh, my most obstinate mind, you have become so arrogant, you have become so puffed up. How is this even possible? What a despicable position you have taken. Kisher Vaishnav, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, what kind of Vaishnav you are? He speaks to his own mind. You're simply looking for fame, you're simply looking for name, you are imitating Haridas Thakur. This is worse than stool. You've become so attracted to stool. He speaks like that. You should read that. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's work called Kisher Vaishnav. What kind of Vaishnav are you? So being Vaishnav is not ordinary. So here somehow the residents of Dwaraka fell prey to this. Familiarity breeds contempt. But the Dham is never affected by such things. Right? So there's also a very important point made here. Even in the presence of the Lord and His super excellent devotees, there still are some people will never appreciate, or fail to appreciate, or only occasion the position of the great souls among them. Right? Many people. Jai Shri Shri Radha Neel Madhava Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Giridhar Ki Giriraj Govardhan, Shri Shri Nitai Chaitanya Gaura Chandra Ki Jai. Right? So it happens. Even during Prabhupada's time, many people couldn't appreciate his position, come to debate with Prabhupada, came argue with Prabhupada. You know, during Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur time, they tried to kill him. Some people tried to get the police, local police, to get in cahoots with the police, because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was shaking up all the prestige of the Jati Goswamis and the Babajis in Vrindavan and Govardhan, and so there was an attempt made on his life. But the police say, sorry, we can't do this. This is a unparalleled devotee amongst us, even though you can easily bribe the police Somehow Krishna gave them some intelligence. Right? So, this kind of things will always be there. There will always be people envious of the acharyas, of the devotees who are really working for the welfare of mankind. There will always be people like that. We shouldn't be discouraged. In fact, we should be surprised if we don't feel opposition when we in this path. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, a devotee who's trying to spread the glories of the Lord, his path will be strewn with thorns. So we should never expect a path filled with rose petals and soft flowers. But it's still our duty to traverse that path and deliver the message and help the suffering living entities who are suffering from Dapatray, the threefold material suffering. So we'll stop here. Any questions? Any comments? Only because we have heard it from the lotus feet, from the Guru Parampara coming down. Whatever, nothing about me, but simply whatever I'm repeating. Yes.
So, how do you keep ourselves from becoming devotees? We have a tendency to think we're better than other people.
Yes, that is a tendency of Kali Yuga. Therefore, is an age of quarrel and hypocrisy. This age is cursed with these two qualities: hypocrisy and quarrel. So therefore we see even among devotees there's frequent quarrels. Right? Who has not quarreled? There's so much quarreling tendency and so much fault-finding tendency. It's there even in the circle of devotees. So what does that tell us? That means we are far from devotees. You could have disagreement on certain things, how it's done, or should be done, but there is always a way to negotiate those things. There will always, even during Lord Chaitanya's time, there was disagreement between devotees. Even during Prabhupada time, right? I mean, when Prabhupada last days, there were devotees who wanted to take Prabhupada on the Govardhan Parikrama in his emaciated state. And there were a group of devotees say, no way you're going to do this. We'll fight to our last breath so that you will not take Prabhupada. So, but are these two mentalities or sentiments offensive? They're not offensive. There'll always be some tension in any kind of organization. It's just like, think about this, like if you have a bow and the string is extremely tight, what happens? When you try to launch that bow, the string will snap. Like you really put such a tension that it cannot take any more tension. So when you launch that bow, the string will snap and you can't launch the bow. But then the other extreme is that tension in the string is so practically no tension. Neither can it launch the bow. So you need to find the right tension. In any kind of organization, you need to find the right balance for it to be healthy. If not, and you will find in ISKCON, there are devotees who are extremely conservative. And then there are devotees who are extremely liberal. Both of these positions are actually not very suitable positions. The best position is to find the right balance. Imagine if we say to people, you can only come into the temple with dhoti and kurta, even to the congregation. How many people will be coming? Even devotees don't come with dhoti and kurta. Or the other option is, it's okay, you can come with the temple, this is devotional service. You can come to the temple, with your body practically exposed. We don't take that position either. Right? So we have to find the right balance, and people will, when we find the right balance, people can relate to us. People with some intelligence, people with some sense of thing, they can relate to us. Right? So, how to not become duplicitous? You can read the prayers every day of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, of Narottam Das Thakur, of Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, how they felt themselves totally unqualified. Right? Always, like, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, what does he say? What is the garland of verse he wanted to wear every day? He advised us to wear. Yatrinadapi sunichena taroriva sahisnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sada harihi. So this verse, of course, this becomes, after some time, becomes a symbolic verse. Right? So we have to exercise humility in our lives. Humility doesn't mean that externally you pay obeisances to the devotees. You may be, every place around the temple you start paying obeisances. That will help you for some time, but after some time it has to become internal. You every day have to look at yourself. When you look at the mirror, you say, this is me. But is this really me? What's really me is what's in here. That's really me. So what am I today? Am I the servant of my spiritual master, or am I feeling that I'm the boss? Every day you have to check yourself like that. Do I feel myself as the servant of the Vaishnavas, or do I feel like I'm the Lord of the universe today? So every day we have to get introspective. At least few minutes in your life, that introspection has to be there. When that introspection is there, then you see the world in the proper perspective. You see your role in the world as a proper perspective. You see your role in the community of the devotees in the proper perspective. If you don't get introverted and look at your bad qualities, your role in the community of devotees will be misplaced. So therefore, management is a very difficult task. There's a joke in ISKCON, right? The biggest punishment you can give somebody is to make him a temple president in ISKCON. It's a very difficult task. Why? You have to now govern devotees. And with governance comes a sense of superiority. That my word is final. Everybody has to obey me. So naturally, your mind will think you are superior to the devotees. So Prabhupada, when he was asked, what's the role of GBC? The role of the GBC is like a dog. Prabhupada said that. What, Prabhupada? The role of a GBC is a dog? Yes. When some evil people come attack our movement, you have to bark and not let them in. That's the role of the GBC. When some people with motives come and shake the ISKCON organization, you have to bite them. So that's the role of the GBC. So we think when we wear this Kanti Mala, we are devotees. But actually this Kanti Mala means that I am the dog of the spiritual master. That's how my spiritual master once said. What's the meaning of the Kanti Mala you're wearing? It's just like a dog tag. You know the dog, they got identification, right? Like the tags. When I was in the military, we have a tag. It's like a small aluminum tag with your ID on it, and your blood group is there. So just in case if you get injured in battle, They can look up immediately your ID, like your social security number, and they know what's your blood group, and if you're losing blood, they know what's your group, what blood to give you. So this is our identification, that I am actually the dog of my spiritual master, and I'm so happy to be the dog of the spiritual master. Like dogs are very happy to be the servants of their masters, right? Have you seen? Dogs are very happy. Prabhupada say, a man without a spiritual master, a woman without a spiritual master is like a dog without a master, very unhappy. Have you seen stranded dogs on the street? They're so unhappy, so scraggly, looking for a master. So we should be so happy that we have a spiritual master who, out of his kindness, has become our master and who has accepted me as his servant. So like that. So we should always think like that. Then we can check ourselves from becoming proud. We can check ourselves becoming arrogant. So, any other questions, comments? Yes, Vishal Prabhu.
So there was I was in Gauranga Hall a long time ago, and there was a Srila Prabhupada disciple speaking to me, and he was saying that I think Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada said that we can somehow achieve humility. It's very difficult. We can do it. We can somehow achieve tolerance. It's very difficult. But he said to achieve not wanting to be respected and honored is almost impossible. He said that. Like, it's very difficult, like extremely, like, so hardly achievable to not want respect and honor. So, I thought I'd say that.
Yeah, so Vishal says is to become humble may be possible, to become tolerant may be possible, but to expect to be honored is very, very difficult. Yeah, in the that's true. In the Bhagavad Gita, what does it say? For one who is honored, dishonor is worse than death. Right? In the Bhagavad Gita, as it said. And in India, it's common when some family is dishonored, some girl marries out of the caste, or some crazy things happen, that sometimes the members in the family commit suicide. Because we have been honored, how are we going to face dishonor now? I might as well give up my life. That is more palatable. So when Haridas Thakur was caned in the marketplace, right? Think about Haridas Thakur. Most worshipable personality. Mahaprabhu personally took him in his arms and danced with his body. Now he's being caned in the marketplace at 22 marketplaces, right? What was his mentality? I'm simply giving trouble to these people. That was his mentality. He was telling, I'm giving you so much trouble. You have to do this because I'm still alive. Please, excuse me. So now we can get a slight glimpse of what humility is. And Mahaprabhu, who was asking, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya asked him, why are you doing this activity? This is not an activity of a sannyasi. You should simply study Vedanta. Oh, my spiritual master said, I'm a fool. I don't have any intelligence for Vedanta. He said, you just chant this mantra I've given, but the mercy of my spiritual master is so wonderful. I chanted this mantra and I'm becoming like a madman. But actually, I'm simply a fool. This is Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu, when he met the sannyasi in Varanasi, in fact, we are talking about the same place, Banaras, Kasi. What did he do when he first saw Prakashananda Saraswati and his 10,000 disciples? He went to actually sit in the place they wash their feet. So if you go to temples in India, especially in South India, you would see people first wash their feet before they enter the temple. You know, in America may not be possible, but there Mahaprabhu is sitting there, and this was the effulgent Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose effulgence was like 10,000 suns, and he went there and sat very meekly and humbly, and that humility attracted the sannyasis, who are very highly learned, right? So we should try, you know, but in the course of our service, we may have to do some things which may come across as arrogant. We may have to tell devotees what to do. We may sometimes even have to correct some devotees. And that is sometimes necessary, right? But we cannot artificially do this out of conceit. We cannot take it. But if it's your role to discipline some devotee, you should be very careful in the way you discipline a devotee. Extremely careful. And if it's not in your position or your it's very difficult. It's rather not do it, because you can ask some other senior devotee to do it. And you find this, sometimes there's a quandary in ISKCON. Sometimes, you know, you're in a management, you have to correct, you so-called may have to discipline a great devotee. And Prabhupada once in his commentary says that there's no concept as a punishment for a pure devotee. This concept of a punishment is something foreign to a pure devotee. And it's a very difficult, it's called Dharma Sankata. Do you all know in Sanskrit there's a term, or even in Hindi, even in South India, they say, idu romba dharma sankatamana vishayam. That means we are in a situation where we are in a quandary how to execute our dharma. Just like Yudhishthira Maharaj was told to tell a lie, but he is called Dharmaraj. He was told by Krishna, go and tell this, that Aswatthama is dead. So in Yudhishthira Maharaj's heart, it was a huge dichotomy. How am I going to tell a lie? But here Krishna is telling me to do this. So he became very, very reluctant. That reluctance actually caused his chariot to sink, right? Isn't it? So sometimes devotees, we are put in such situations where we have to execute dharma and we are completely bewildered how to do it. All right, so any questions? It's getting late. Questions, comments? We'll stop. Yes, Prabhu.
And with the broom in the night.
So not only chappals in the morning, with broom at night. Beat your mind. So, yeah, if too much time expands during the day, and it's the 24 hours, your mind will forget. So before you go to bed at night, beat your mind with a broom. A broom which has swept the dust of the feet of the Vaishnavas, or the dust of the Vaishnavas. Thank you. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Jitai Gaur Premanandi.
Very bol. His Grace Rasikendra Prabhu ji ki jai.
Ananta Koti Vaishnavanda ki, Srila Prabhupada.